What a crazy week it's been in the NFL, and week 6 got underway last night. Cole Thompson's going to join us in his weekly spot to preview the weekend and give out some picks as well. It is the Jake Asman Football Show, and it starts right now.
Oh, yeah. It's time for the Jake Asman Football Show. Brought to you by BetUS. Expert betting odds and fantasy stats. So let's get into some NFL football. Brought to you by our friends at BetUS. So get your questions ready. Here's your host, Jake Asman.
Oh, yeah, baby. Welcome in, everyone. Thanks for spending part of your day with us here on the Jake Asman Football Show. We are, of course, presented by BetUS. Take advantage of the awesome special they have going right now for new customers. A 150% sign-up bonus using the promo code you see up there on the screen, YouTube150. So if you want to wager on any of the games we're discussing, BetUS is the place to do so. Joining us right now to talk all things NFL ahead of Week 6 in the league, we say hello to Cole Thompson. Cole, welcome aboard. We had the week off last week because I was in London, and now we're back and ready to go.
We're back. We got Hawaiian Friday rolling. I'm a year older. Things are just rolling and having a good time. That's exactly what we want to see. And I think that the Jets are going to be in good hands, personally. I'm not that worried for you guys right now. So let's go ahead and rock. How we been?
Let's get into it. And look, you already alluded to it. I was going to start it off. Happy birthday, man. Cole turned 57 2 days ago.
Yes, I did. 57, still look 31, which is a good thing. You find the middle ground, you're gonna figure out what I am. But
was your birthday yesterday, or was that 2 days ago? Right?
Yesterday.
It was yesterday. Okay.
Yesterday. Well, you actually texted me on my real birthday, which I appreciate. Yes. Some people will do it like at 9:30, and I go, "Oh, I totally spaced." You were actually the second person to text me. So, Jake Asman, our relationship goes well beyond just the world of YouTube. We actually know how to have a good time together.
Yeah, I was in your wedding.
You were.
How about that?
You were. You saw my wife a minute ago. That was fun. The lovely Kirsten decided to make an appearance. So
yep. Kirsten Thompson.
That's what we like. That's exactly
Thompson.
what we want to see. Okay, let's not boast her ego up any more than it already is. Okay, come on.
Anyway, we will start with the Jets, though, Cole, because you brought it up. I've obviously talked about this a lot on my Jet-specific show, but I'll get your thoughts on it, and I'll give a take here for everyone tuning in who doesn't watch the Jake Asman Jet YouTube show. Your reaction to the Jets canning Robert Saleh 5 games into the season with a 2-3 record.
I thought it was a week too soon. I wanted to see what was going to happen after the Bills game. I think many of us believed that Tuesday morning, depending on what they looked like, was going to be the ultimate deciding factor of Saleh, because you've seen the miscommunications, you've seen the inadequate play calling, you've seen a lot of negativity around the squad. But ultimately, you were delaying the inevitable. It was very clear that what was not working was Aaron Rodgers, this offense, along with Robert Saleh. It wasn't going to be able to be, I think, sustainable. So you rip the Band-Aid off a week early. You turn the playbook over to Ulbrich. You turn the playbook over now to Todd Downing and take Nathaniel Hackett out of the picture to where it truly is, we're making decisions that are, we believe, best fitting for us. That way we're not out of the playoff race. And honestly, that's kind of what you have at this point. It's a team that I don't think should be wondering, could we find a way to go 7-10? They still could be 10-7, 11-6. They still could win the division. They have the personnel. They have the defense. It's injured, but they have the defense. Ultimately, what it felt like was all you're doing by holding out hope that Saleh is going to turn the corner is delaying the inevitable. And it's either going to come at the end of October, or it's going to come at the middle of November, or it's going to come on Black Monday. But the writing was on the wall. This was not going to work anymore. And now you're going to just turn to Ulbrich. You're going to really turn to Aaron Rodgers and say, we brought in players, personnel, coaches for you to be the guy. Now there are no more excuses on anyone else besides you. You have to start delivering on your end of the bargain if we want to be a team that we believe can get to that level that you envisioned when you decided to sign on with us. But now all the pressure is on you. I thought it was the right move. Did I think it was a little too early? Maybe, but I'm not going to be sitting here and complaining when I think everyone realized Robert Saleh with 20-36, with the way that you've lost several games, with the way that you've looked in several games, and now the defense isn't doing its job, which is your backbone. You knew that it was eventually going to happen. It was always a matter of when, not if, and the when came on a Tuesday afternoon.
I look at it like this. From the outside looking in, people are going to say, what? How could you do this early? But it's not about doing it this early. It's about the same pattern that we have watched on the football field over now 4 seasons. This team routinely would go out there and be outcoached in games. Slow starts, piss poor performances off long rest, mental errors, penalties. The team performance as a whole reflects on the head coach. The Jets have far too much talent to waste this season. They should be better than 2-3. That Denver loss at home was alarming. And then you follow that up with a performance where in London, you trail 17-0 in the first half and you don't have a first down until the second quarter. I know Robert Saleh is not the offensive coordinator, but he's the head coach and oversees everything. And the team takes on the personality of its coach, and the body language was brutal. The stoic looks on the sidelines was brutal. The fact that this team has expectations, and it felt like, okay, Saleh, you built the defense. Now you have no excuse. Go get it done. And it wasn't getting better. If you're the Jets, it's better to do this early rather than late, because you could still save your season at 2-3. You're playing for first place on Monday Night Football this Monday night against a Bills team you've beaten at home the last 2 years. And Jeff Ulbrich is the most competent coach on this team. He's a guy that will fire up the players, hold guys accountable. The Jet defense has remained top 5 with no Hassan Reddick, no Bryce Huff. Jermaine Johnson got hurt in week 2. C.J. Mosley hasn't played since week 2. And they're going out there and still playing like a top 5 unit. So I think at the end of the day, Cole, you make this move because you believe in your team. And when Woody Johnson comes out and says, this is the most talented team I've had in 25 years owning the team, that's why he's this aggressive. He has never fired a coach in season. You could say maybe they should have done it in the offseason. I get that. But I think when Aaron Rodgers vouched for this head coach and this regime, you always were going to go into the year with this regime, like it or not. And now you make the change at play caller. No more Nathaniel Hackett. It's now Todd Downing, who's had some success in his career. It's all right in front of them. Jets got to get it done. You're right about the pressure now on Aaron Rodgers. He's got to play better. He acknowledged that, and I think he will.
Jake, I think the other thing that's really important is we've seen teams before kind of turn the corner when they go into an interim coach. And that doesn't always guarantee that that coach will be the next man in waiting, but we have seen teams turn around. Look at what happened in Carolina after they fired Matt Rule. They finished 7-10. They had a really good overall aura, and they were playing a physical brand of football with Steve Wilkes at the helm. Rich Bisaccia, the John Gruden situation, went haywire immediately. You couldn't keep him. You knew that it was bad juju, but it was also a terrible look for the organization. It was. But Rich Bisaccia, the special teams coordinator, doesn't do too much, says offense is going to be offense, defense is going to be defense, and they find their way to make it to the postseason. And ultimately, it was the biggest slap in the face that he wasn't hired as the next head coach. And so Jeff Ulbrich, it's a football guy. It's a dude that understands the X's and O's of a defense. It's a guy that certainly has understood what a locker room is like. He's going to make sure that the players are prepared, and he's going to call them out when they're not. This may end up being the best thing for the Jets this year. And again, everything on this roster is still sustainable. And you brought it up. Look at the players who aren't playing. C.J. Mosley, Bryce Huff is now in Philadelphia. Hassan Reddick has not showed up in a slightest. And now the CAA just fired him. So they dropped him as a client, so it's not getting any better. Jermaine Johnson's out. You also look at the secondary. They've had plays where you've lost a Sauce Gardner or a DJ Reed, and yet they still are top 5 in almost every single category. That's what you have. It's too good of a team to just sit around and think, oh, we're going to be okay going 8-9 this year. We're going to be okay going 7-10. You swung for the fences to go get Aaron Rodgers. You swung for the fences to go get in certain players in free agency. You swung for the fences to land premier players in the draft. This is your time. And sometimes maybe making a switch to somebody who is just going to say, I'm going to focus in on the defense. You focus in on the offense. Let's build a relationship and a culture that is sustainable. The tower will oversee itself. Woody Johnson is 100% right to believe that this is the most talented Jets team he has had in 25 years. He was 100% right to be able to let go of a guy who was not going to be the long-term answer.
Look, at the end of the day, you go 8-4, the 5th easiest schedule down the stretch. That's 10-7. That might be enough to win this division. That's the other reason why you make this move now. You look at the Buffalo Bills, they're not the same roster they've had since Allen became an MVP candidate. Miami has their issues with Tua and his health. They don't seem to be a legit contender this year. New England's in a full rebuild, starting Drake May this week against a team you cover close, the Houston Texans. You know, you just look at the division. As bad as it's been the last 2 weeks for the Jets, they win on Monday Night, Cole. They're in first place with a head-to-head win over the Buffalo Bills.
It's baffling. It's baffling, Joe Beningo, as I'm looking at you now. I'm just realizing that those two are actually existing. But no, it's 100% true. They're sitting at 3-3. They have an opportunity to kind of coast their way with the fifth easiest schedule. It's not going to be shocking to watch as this team kind of turns the corner and finds a way to be 11-6 and in the playoff. It won't.
Let's talk about the week 6 slate now, Cole. As we do every week, we'll give out some picks towards the end of the show. What stands out to you about this schedule here? Break down some of the matchups you're the most excited to see.
I think Baltimore versus Washington is going to be really interesting. That is going to be probably the best defense Jaden Daniels has faced at this point. And also, you have to look at how Jaden Daniels is playing. He is a shoo-in for, at least right now, to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But he also is starting to garner a little bit of conversation for MVP votes. And I think that's a little too far-fetched, but you play well. You play up to the certain brand that you have so far with the consistent passing attack, the movement, the ability to tuck and run against a team like Baltimore. I think that benefits you extremely well. I think Arizona-Green Bay is another really interesting matchup because Jordan Love, we have seen the highs, we have seen the lows, we have seen a lot of turnovers, but he still is throwing for over 300 yards per game. They have a better defense now, fully healthy. You're going to get back Romeo Doubs in this game, which I think is going to benefit a guy who needs to get more in the passing attack. And I like that this is offensive line, but you got to realize, man, Arizona may be the toughest team in the NFL this year that is going to go like 5-12. They're going to be in every single game. Their defense is playing out of its mind. The quarterback play has been phenomenal. They've started to really find a relationship with Michael Wilson, with Trey McBride, with even Marvin Harrison Jr. getting added on in. So I think that that's a game to where you're going to be very, very close-eyed on what goes on between these two. I think another game that you have to watch for is also Jacksonville versus Chicago. Because of Jacksonville, we know what they do when they're in London. We know how they look when they're in London. And we just saw where a team that on paper was not as good as the one that's sitting at 5-0 right now struggle in the first half. Are we going to see the same thing where Caleb Williams is overshooting receivers and it's landing in the hand of a Jacksonville Jaguar defender? Are we going to see vintage Trevor Lawrence be able to step on up and be the version of himself that we thought when he was coming on out? What about also, let's talk about the Bengals versus Giants game. The Giants aren't that bad.
This is like Cincinnati's last stand too.
And
right?
this has to be a win for Cincinnati because of never in the history of the NFL has a team that has started off 1-5 made the playoffs. I mean, the chances of them making the playoffs right now is at a 2%, but it's never happened in the history of the sport when you start off 1-5. And the Giants, they're going to be down a little bit. No Malik Neighbors once again. Kayvon Thibodeau underwent surgery on his shin this past weekend. He's a week-to-week process, probably not going to be suiting up. I just feel like when you look right now at this Giants team, they have a lot to be playing for because if they can kind of keep that pace with Philadelphia, with Dallas, with even Washington. But if you're Cincinnati, you know that you're the better team. You showed it last week against Baltimore in what had to have been the best game of the NFL season so far. But you also have to come out on top because it's one thing to have these close calls. It's one thing to have these very down to the wire type performances. It's another thing when you're up by 10 and you allow a team to come back in.
At the end of the day, if you're the New York Giants, how do you handle a little prosperity after that win last week? Can you follow it up at home now with another good performance? They have played much better on the road this season than they have at home. So we will see, what that looks like for the Giants, Cole. Another game I want to get to here before we start dishing out some picks as we're talking with Cole Thompson here on the Jake Asman Football Show. If you're an NFL fan, make sure you guys subscribe and be a part of what we have cooking here. The game I wanted to get your take on is Lions-Cowboys, because that feels like a big litmus test for the Dallas Cowboys. They come into this game banged up. They are at home. Lions, to me, kind of feel like a team that we knew would be good, but we were still a little curious how they would follow up the hype and the expectations they now have after reaching the championship game last season. They have looked awesome. Your thoughts on this matchup here between Detroit and Dallas?
I think that Detroit can easily make a statement as the best team in the NFC this weekend. They can, because of, yes, you did watch as Seattle struggled against a San Francisco squad that isn't fully healthy. Yes, you have seen the miscues from Green Bay, and you have definitely seen what feels like kind of fool's gold for Minnesota at this point. But Detroit feels like it is not only the most battle-tested, it feels like it can be the most physical. And especially against a front seven that's going to be down DeMarcus Lawrence, down Micah Parsons, have some question marks in their secondary play and their open field tackling. This is a moment to where you can truly, I think, separate yourself as one of the forces that nobody wants to face off against in a postseason pitcher. Because of when you have Jared Goff humming, when you have Jared Goff playing clean, concise football, he's accurate, he's decisive, he doesn't second guess himself, he's a great fit for the style of offense that they want to run. The weaponry is there, from Amon-Ra St. Brown to a healthy Jamison Williams to Sam Laporta back at full speed. Now you got an also great combination on the ground with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, both of which have been effective in their specific roles. This is one of those games where we'll look back and we'll say, okay, now I know why we were talking so much about Detroit this offseason as being a legit threat to go to the Super Bowl, because they feel it. They see it. They have some plays that are going to be coming back to bite them in the ass. I mean, look at a guy like Terrion Arnold. He's the most penalized cornerback in the league so far with 6 PIs. But this is one of those games also where at home, Dallas, they come out to a strong start. Dak Prescott on the primetime stage. Dak Prescott playing against a quality opponent. This is one that I think you could see this actually come down to the wire and be a game-winning field goal from someone. I think that both these teams have question marks. I feel like there is a more complete version so far of Detroit. But if you see Dallas start to kind of gain momentum, they once again are going to turn to that team that is going to be 12-4, 12-5, and they're going to be in the playoff. They'll be the number 2 seed, and then they'll be blown out in the first round.
Pretty crazy. But that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yep.
Litmus test is all over the weekend slate. All right, Cole, you ready to give out some picks? We took the bye last week for us. I was out in London. But let's update these standings here, shall we? Overall, Cole Thompson is 8-4 on the season. And if you're new to the Jake Asman Football Show, we give out each of us 3 games each week. I am 6-6. Both of us in week 4 had 2 in 1 week. So, Cole, since you are the better of the two of us overall, your first selection can start us off.
I'm going to go talk about that one game that I mentioned earlier, that Washington versus Baltimore game. It's really, really interesting. The line's only at 6.5. I feel like that Washington right now is playing its best version of football, and it's because they haven't really faced up against, but I would say, elite competition. But this is a very good defense. This is a very, very solid defensive front. I still don't think it's enough. I like this Washington squad. I like what I've seen from Washington's defense underneath Dan Quinn. I've liked what I've seen from the secondary at times. I've liked as you've watched as other players besides Terry McLaurin really step on up. I'm going to take Washington to plus 6.5. I think this is going to be a really close game. Maybe you won't see a win, but I think that Jaden Daniels is going to establish himself as one of the best young quarterbacks in the game right now.
I got news for you. We are in agreement on this one.
Okay.
This was one of my 3. Look, I mean, I think at some point the Commanders might have that bad loss and come back down to earth a little bit. Like, remember last year when Stroud was kind of lighting the league on fire as a rookie, and they had that loss to Bryce Young and the Panthers that comes to mind. But I don't know, man. I just get the vibes with this Washington team right now. I think 6.5 is too much. I think they can make this a real game, and I'm with you. I think they cover. I don't know if they win, but I think it's a close game in the 4th, and I'll take that many points when Jaden Daniels is not playing like a rookie right now. He's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
Way too close of a game, way too close of a line. I think it's kind of disrespectful to Washington with how they've looked so far that you're giving them 6.5 to cover. This is going to be one of those games I think is a four-quarter matchup. And we're going to see if Lamar can be vintage Lamar Jackson. Game number 2 for me. I hate picking this team, and I haven't yet, but I don't like the situation that we're talking about this week. Drake May is starting for New England in Gillette Stadium against a team that wins on 48.5% of pressures. It's got a great defensive front. Yes, the Texans are probably going to be without Kamari Laster. They're going to be without Jimmy Ward, but they may get back Joe Mixon. They are going to get back Dameon Pierce. Yes, Nico Collins is out, but maybe that's kind of a good thing because you get to see where this offense is with Tank Dell, with Stephon Diggs, with Dalton Schultz, with your depth. I think that's not the end of the world. And New England is a team that hasn't scored more than 20 points once this year, Jake. I mean, my God, it is absolutely baffling that this is as bad as an offense as it looks. It's not a good situation for Drake May to walk into. I'm going to take the minus 6.5 in favor of the Texans.
Going with the Houston Texans against the Patriots in Cole's second game. All right, Cole, you ready for my second game here as we make our weekly picks?
I think so.
I'm going to Sunday Night Football.
Okay.
We talked about this team earlier. Basically, do or die. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals. I'll lay the 4 points. Now, I understand that the Giants coming off a win, but no Malik Neighbors. They have not played as well at home as they have on the road. Daniel Jones, for whatever reason, in primetime has not been very good. I just think it's a do or die spot for the Bengals. They know their season's over essentially if they lose. 4, a little uncomfortable with that number. I could maybe, see the hook kind of killing you there, being within a field goal. But I just think Joe Burrow will not lose to Daniel Jones head to head. They find a way to win by at least 5 or more. So give me the Bengals here. Do or die spot. They temporarily, I should say, save their season. So I like Cincinnati laying the 4 at MetLife Sunday night on NBC.
We're going to live in a world potentially where Daniel Jones is getting more hype than Joe Burrow. Just imagine saying that like 2 off seasons ago, especially if he wins once again without a number 1 receiver, Malik Neighbors. Yeah. All right, Jake, we're going to talk about one more time. One more game that we've already brought up. There is just something different this year about the city. There is something that you can feel it in the air. You can kind of sense it in the energy. The way that this team has started to look, the way the city has started to rally around its programs, around its sports culture. And you're starting to see them turn the corner in hockey, and they've already turned the corner in baseball. It is a fun time to be in Detroit. It is a fun time to be part of the Motown magic. It is Detroit versus everyone, and I truly believe that Detroit is the best team in the NFL right now, even though the record doesn't say so. The way they play a physical dominance defensively, the way their approach is offensively, the game planning, the execution. Jared Goff, once again, is being slighted as an overrated quarterback. This is the game where literally we're talking nonstop about quarterback play. And I think the quarterback that went number 1 back in 2016 gives you a reason why to believe this is the number 1 team in the NFC. I'm taking the 3.5 points in favor of the Lions. I'm thinking that the Lions are going to win by double digits in this game. I truly do. I am not expecting much when you see this Cowboys team.
All right, Cole. So your 3 picks: Washington plus 6.5 at the Ravens. We're in agreement there. We each have that. Your second pick: Texans laying the 6.5 at the Patriots.
Easy money.
And the Lions laying 3 on the road. You have them winning by double digits over the Cowboys. So how about that? You like 3 road teams this week in your picks.
I do. Listen, sometimes you got to go against the grain. And for me, it's always about picking those that are going to have the uphill battle. I don't care what the weather is. I don't care what the atmosphere is. I like good teams. Those are good teams that are going to win.
All right. One last pick for me. Ladies and gentlemen. Jets, Jets.
Of course it was.
The Jeff Ulbrich era will get underway with a W as a home underdog against the Buffalo Bills. I'm taking the New York Jets. I think they come out with their ass on fire in that first quarter. The crowd's going to be into it. They understand what's on the line, playing for first place. As bad as the Jets have played, they seemingly play well against Josh Allen. Last 2 years, they have beaten him in this spot. He has turned the ball over a ton. He might not even be healthy right now. I'm amazed he wasn't diagnosed with a concussion last week against the Texans. He's on the injury report with a hand and leg injury. And I just think, look, now or never for the New York Jets. They're going to get C.J. Mosley back in all likelihood. Morgan Moses will definitely be back at right tackle, which is big. And I just like the matchup, man. I like taking a division opponent when they're a home underdog in this spot. So give me the Jets. Jeff Ulbrich, find a way to get it done. So my final pick is the Jets. Right now I'm looking at the line at BetUS. It is at 2.5 favoring the Bills, so I'll take the points and root for the Jets. Jets. So my 3 games, Cole and I in agreement. We like the Commies getting the 6.5 at the Ravens, Bengals -4 at the Giants, and then Jets plus 2.5. So those are our picks for Week 6 in the NFL. Cole, I'm bricked up, baby. Let's go. In Jeff Ulbrich, we trust.
I was this close to picking the Bills too. I wanted to do the head-to-head so bad because I knew you were. I knew you were going to take the Jets. I knew you were going to take them at home. I knew you were going to take them because they were an underdog. But here's the problem. Josh Allen should not be playing right now. It was malpractice. It was malpractice that he came back in that game. It was absolutely ridiculous. You don't have him smack his head and then come back in a play later like everything is fine. So he's going to throw 2 bad picks. He has yet to throw an interception this season. It's going to happen this week. That's the only reason why I didn't take that pick. I'm sorry. Like, I wanted so badly to pick Buffalo because I knew that we were going to have a head-to-head, but I can't do it.
Cole, I appreciate the sentiment. I do.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Jeff Ulbrich, we trust. No doubt. No doubt. By the way, don't think I wasn't going to bring this up. Bama alum. What was it like to lose to Vanderbilt?
Oh, my God. Stop, okay? Why? Okay, can I just ask a question? Why are we yes, Alabama lost. It was the most disgusting loss I've ever seen in my entire life for being somebody that grew up in that household, grew up in that vicinity. I knew it. Well, are we just going to sit here and act like that Vanderbilt can't be freaking good? Like, can we at least say that Diego Pavia played out of his freaking mind?
He did.
And that's a quarterback that I would take over Zach Wilson. That's a quarterback that I think many people would rather have on their rosters than what they currently reside with right now. If you put Diego Pavia on, say, like Florida State, what are they? What are they going to be? Like 9-3? If you put him on freaking Auburn's team, he marched into Auburn last year as a double-digit underdog, beat the Tigers. What if he was playing for them? Would they be 5-0? I don't know. I can tell you what, they wouldn't look as bad as they do right now. That's for damn sure. So Diego Pavia Power. If you've watched anything on SEC Unfiltered, if you watch my YouTube shows, you've heard me talk about this kid. He's phenomenal. I'm just really, really annoyed it had to happen to my team. Like, I'm just really, really annoyed that it happened to my team because of it. Because you know what? You're right. It is Bama. It is. There's a standard. I have to live in a world. I have to live in a freaking world now where literally I have to admit that Pavia and Vanderbilt beat Alabama. Those are things that I never thought I would say in the same sentence, Jake.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, roll Tide, roll tears. That's what many people are saying right now. It's very annoying. It's very annoying to believe. Oh, by the way, I'm so sick and tired of hearing people complain about what Kalen DeBoer is. Like, he had one bad performance. And also him wearing a t-shirt on the sidelines, like that's going to be something that's a big deal. Come on, man. Come on. Just congratulations to Vanderbilt. They got a good win. They kicked my team's ass. It's all good and dandy. Unfortunately, Jake doesn't have to play against anybody at Ithaca to where it's that level of competition. Ain't that right, buddy?
Our game is all about Cortland, Cole.
I would say it's all about Cortland one time a year, that rivalry. Yeah.
Beat Cortland. Win the jug. That's it. Anyway, he's Cole Thompson. My name is Jake Asman. This has been the Jake Asman Football Show. Good luck with all your bets. If you want to wager on any of the games we discussed or make your own picks, BetUS is the place to do it. Once again, 150% sign-up bonus. Promo code YouTube150 to start playing today and enjoy that exclusive offer. For Cole Thompson, my name is Jake Asman. Enjoy your weekend, football fans, and we'll talk to you next time on the Jake Asman Football Show.